I'll be back.
We all recognize this voice. His stature and presence is known across the world. His name has become legacy figures across so many areas from fitness, weightlifting, entertainment, and even politics. Arnold Schwarzenegger has become a larger-than-life figure that has done it all. From classic movies to governing one of the biggest economies in not only the US but the world at large. In this video, we take a look at 5 productive habits and lessons to learn from the Terminator himself and what we can learn from his mindset to empower ourselves to do more. But before we go into it, make sure to like this video so we can share it to more people, and subscribe to this channel so I can continue to feed you nuggets of gold that help boost brain and behavior. Looking at his accomplishments at a glance, a lot of us may know that Arnold Schwarzenegger is famous, but not everyone might be aware of the sheer amount of accomplishments and accolades the tough Austrian-born Titan has achieved throughout his life. To go through them quickly, in bodybuilding, powerlifting, and weightlifting, he won Mr. Olympia 7 times from 1970 to 1975 and then 1980. Which is quite the feat considering this is the world's most prestigious bodybuilding competition across the world. He also came in first for NABA Mr. Universe, amateur and professional, a total of 4 times. He was also the winner of the IFBB Mr. International in 1968, and then the AAU Mr. World winner in 1970, and several other awards such as Best Built Man of Europe, Mr. Europe, and German Powerlifting Championship. Then, if dominating the world of bodybuilding wasn't enough, he found success as an actor, winning 1 Golden Globe for Best Acting Debut in a Motion Picture for Stay Hungry, nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Performance by an Actor in a Motion Picture for Junior, winning an Emmy for an Outstanding Documentary for Years of Living Dangerously, and then copying several other different awards for his excellence in the acting arts beyond that. And when he stood at the top of Hollywood as a household name throughout the 90s to early 2000s, he made an unexpected move into politics, running for the governor of California and winning, serving as the 38th governor of California from 2003 to 2011. In that same period, Schwarzenegger joined Time's 100 most influential people in the world in 2004 and 2007 respectively. Famous for being an actor, bodybuilder, and politician, Arnold Schwarzenegger has proven himself time after time in all areas of life, proving to be a truly successful businessman, writer, investor, philanthropist, and beyond. So here are the key lessons to take away from Arnold Schwarzenegger. Number 1, visualize and believe. If you have no goal, you have nothing. You have to know where to go. You need a vision. Schwarzenegger wasn't born to any rich household. In fact, born in Thal, Austria in 1947, this was quite a different time back then during the times of war. Money was not lying around in his home, and Schwarzenegger has gone through on record to note that even getting a refrigerator was one of the greatest highlights of his youth. Although his father did encourage going into sports early on, he was diagnosed as dyslexic early on in his youth, so no one really expected him to do well. With the American dream on his mind since the age of 10, Schwarzenegger came to the US in 1968 at the age of 20. He had a single vision to succeed in the bodybuilding world, something he had been training for since the age of 14. Yet with very little English, no one really expected him to ever really taste success in America. As he's noted on saying, "I had a very clear vision of where I wanted to go. You realize you have to pay no attention to the naysayers. When you learn those lessons in sports, you can apply those lessons for the rest of your life." Yet, despite the doubts from his family and friends back in Austria, within 2 years of reaching the US, Schwarzenegger achieved exactly what he had planned and dreamt of doing since his early teens. In 1970, at the age of 23, he won his first Mr. Olympia title in New York. And so, this is one of the key lessons from Schwarzenegger, to always visualize and believe. Without a vision of what the future is going to look like, you won't go anywhere. Every day you wake up and move closer toward that vision. But to add to this, without real belief that this vision can become true, you won't stand the test of time, trials, and tribulations that get in the way of this vision. I always look for motivation. If you have no motivation, then it's hard to get going under those circumstances. You're down and you have a major setback, and the vision is what you can bring you back. The second point is to not fear failure. Now, saying to believe in yourself is easier said than done. When the times get tough and there are doubters left and right, how can you remain confident in a vision that only you can see? This is where the second lesson of Schwarzenegger's mindset comes in, to not fear failure. As mentioned earlier, Schwarzenegger came to the US at the young age of 25, alone and without any connections at all. Yet, he knew where he wanted to go in his life, and he did exactly that without hesitation, pushing through all boundaries. If you think you can't do something, you won't. It's a mindset that starts with "don't be afraid." With a desire to become one of the greatest bodybuilders in the world, we all know that he must have worked hard to actually become that. But remember how I said that he had won at the age of 23? Well, in truth, he actually made his first attempt in 1969, 1 year before. Of course, that must have been damaging to his belief system when he did not win, but it still did not hinder him. Schwarzenegger could have let the fear of failure moving to the US stop him from coming altogether. He could have let the fear of his dyslexic diagnosis prevent him from believing in himself. He could have let the fear of another failure from Mr. Olympia stop him from giving it another go. But he didn't. Failure, after all, is just another obstacle to overcome. Schwarzenegger, roadblocks and limitations merely exist in the mind alone. As he's noted on saying, impossible was a word I loved to ignore when I was governor. The only way to make something possible is to try the impossible. If you fail, so what? That's what everybody expects. But if you succeed, you make the world a much better place. The third point is then to enjoy the process. Turning into one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time is not an easy feat. It is the furthest push of your physical self as well as a mental battle. There is no doubt that you need to work your ass off to get anywhere near the top. So we know that Schwarzenegger worked out quite a lot. But what made him win Mr. Olympia not just once, 7 times over? Well, he let himself enjoy the process. The grueling days of waking up at 5 a.m. and doing over 500 squats, the deathly moments where sweat, tears, and muscles tear daily just to transform your body into a physique of champions. None of this sounds pleasant. But Schwarzenegger knew that if he didn't learn to enjoy the pain, he wouldn't get to where he dreamt of, and so he looked to see the positives of it all. As evidence from this clip in his documentary Pumping Iron, he likens the pump of muscle building to having an orgasm.
It's as satisfying to me as coming is, as having sex with a woman and coming. So can you believe how much I am in heaven? I'm like getting the feeling of coming in the gym, I'm getting the feeling of coming at home, I'm getting the feeling of coming backstage when I pump up, when I pose out in front of 5,000 people, I get the same feeling. So I'm coming day and night. I mean, it's terrific, right?
With a smile on his face from day and night, no matter how hard things got, Schwarzenegger looked forward to the workout. He came to love the feeling of his pumped muscles and the fact that each new day, he was getting closer to his aspirations. Then the fourth point is to live life as reps. If you want to grow and be better, you need to push yourself beyond comfort zones. Sometimes this means exerting yourself further beyond limits, or sometimes this also means just trying something different. As a bodybuilder, Schwarzenegger knew that to build muscle, simply doing a lot of reps wasn't going to change much. You need to diversify the amount of reps you do with different exercises to target different muscle groups, but in the same way, change up the amount of repetitions to push your muscle to the furthest extent. He applied this idea to every part of his life. Schwarzenegger also tried something new. He always attempted to learn and add new things into his life so he could push the very limits of who he was. I pride myself on being able to juggle many tasks. I got a college education while bodybuilding, married Maria Shriver in the filming of Predator, and made Kindergarten Cop and Terminator 2 while launching Planet Hollywood. In the same way you should try not to let your mind place you in a box, you should try many things. This doesn't mean you need to be multitasking in everything you do. When you're focused on doing that one thing, hone in your attention on that very thing. But don't let the limits of society or commentary from others hinder you from trying new things. We can only know how far we go by the extent of our physical, mental, and creative selves, if we actually try at it and push. For those who knew Schwarzenegger as the bodybuilder with a strong Austrian accent, who would have ever thought he'd be on the big screen? For those who knew Schwarzenegger as the Hollywood action movie star, who would have ever thought he'd be leading California in office for several years? All of these doubts and restrictions come from other people and in your own mind. As Schwarzenegger says, if you try to do something different, you might be surprised how much what you thought was a limitation wasn't real. The fifth point is then to always aim for the top. As evident from the stories shared in this video, we know that Schwarzenegger wasn't just a man who did well in each of those areas. No, what makes his story so inspirational is the fact that he was at the top of each diverse area of work: bodybuilding, acting, politics. 3 fields seemingly so unrelated. For me, life is continuously being hungry. The meaning of life is not to simply exist, to survive, but to move ahead, to go up, to achieve, to conquer. When he was aiming to be a bodybuilder, he wasn't just happy winning a few championships in the amateur field, but he went for the pros and became Mr. World a few times, and Mr. Olympia several times thereafter. Then, as he made his way into the movies, just being a stoic character wasn't enough. He didn't want to just play supporting roles. but he wanted to be known as a leading man, which he did exactly that. And the same was for politics. Instead of just aspiring to remain in a position in the local office to help the community, he went straight for the most powerful position of governor of California. Remember, California is the state with the 7th largest economy in the entire world. So being a governor to that is no easy feat. While it may be great to see yourself grow, don't just aim to be good. Aim for greatness. Look far ahead of you at the top, because in the end, there are only few at the very top, and the lower you are, the more crowded it becomes. The mind is the limit. As long as the mind can envision the fact that you can do something, you can do it as long as you really believe 100%. You need to overcome. In the end, with all the lessons above, we can see that the mindset beyond all else is what made Schwarzenegger become one of the most successful leading men in 3 different areas of life. It wasn't his uniquely characteristic accent, his enormous physique, or goofy yet memorable smile. No, it was the mindset of never believing anything was impossible. Doubts, failures, and anything in between are simply there to prevent you from moving forward. Letting yourself think and dwell over these things will do nothing good for you. So much like Schwarzenegger, make sure to visualize what you want clearly and believe it can be done. Don't be afraid of failing. It's a natural part of life, and you can't be a winner without failing. Learn to enjoy the process of achieving your dreams. Put a smile on your face at the fact that each new day you're pumping closer to that end goal. Live by pushing yourself to your limits like reps of a workout. Aim to get to the top, and don't just settle for the bottom. Now, wherever you are on your journey to be and do better, just remember, through that very struggle, you become stronger, tougher, and smarter. And to end off this video with another quote from the man himself, strength does not come from winning. Your struggles develop your strengths. When you go through hardships and decide not to surrender, that is strength. So if you enjoyed the contents of this video and the lessons learned, like this video so it can be shared to more people. And also check out the video on the left where you can see other stories of highly successful people's mindsets. And make sure to subscribe so I can continue to help you mind the gold in mind.